What's up guys? So in this video we'll be diving into an exciting project that's perfect for beginners who wants to build a professional website from scratch using just HTML and CSS. And by the end of this video you have a fully functional and responsive website like the one you are seeing right now. So let's see how it looks. This is a landing page for a clipboard app. So this is how the hero section looks. There's no navigation, as you can see. We have two buttons that have cool little over effects. I have this features section. Also have this section right here. I have another workflow section. I have some supporters or sponsors. Then we also have another section for you to download the application, but all these are not functional. And we have this nice footer section that has over effects on them, and the website is also responsive, so I can bring it to my phone. You can see that these buttons now are top of each other, as well as this. So if it's too far for you, let me try and zoom it in. All right, so basically this is what we'll be building, and you are going to learn a couple of things from this tutorial. The first thing is how to structure a clean HTML file. You're also going to learn how to style the website with CSS, and you learn how to use CSS to make your design visually appealing and professional. You also learn how to use Flexbox and Grid, which are CSS layout tools that helps to simplify positioning and aligning items. You're also going to learn responsive design basics, how to ensure that your site looks great on all screens, whether it's a tablet, a desktop, or a mobile phone. And we're also going to learn about practical design techniques, where we'll cover tips on spacing, typography, layouts, that will make your website looks really nice. So before we get started, let me tell you where this design comes from or came from. This project is from Frontendmentor, which is a platform that provides real-world designs for developers to practice their skills, and it's perfect for leveling up your web development game and building a portfolio with high quality projects. I'll leave a link to the website in general so that you can go through all the challenges they have and use it to practice in order for you to strengthen your skills in HTML, CSS, and whatever technology you use as well. And again, the link to the project will be in the description as well. So I've already downloaded the project. So what you would do is to follow the series of steps right here. So you can just download the starter file and you meet me somewhere right here. So what I will do is that I will extract it right here, and I no longer need this one. And then I'll open this folder on VS Code. You can use whatever code editor you choose to. So this design folder basically have all the designs you will need, because if you're working on a real world project, you'll be given a design, or you have to create one. You don't just go into VS Code and start creating a website. You need to work with a design. So basically these are the ones we have for this is the initial design. Then there's a desktop. Okay, there's a desktop preview and there's a mobile preview as well. I already have this open on Figma as well, because we'll be spending time on Figma. So I can close this out. and the next folder basically holds all the assets we need. So I don't think we use these icons. Let's see how it goes, but I don't think we use them. Then this gate ignore file basically allows you to not add some files when pushing your project to GitHub. While this index of HTML has all the text you need. That is one cool thing I love about Frontendmentor. They will give you all the content you need, so that you just need to structure file. Then there's a README template. I won't go through it, but basically just like a summary of what you saw before downloading the project. There's also a README as well. And there's a style guide, which is very, very important. I'll be working with it as well. You can see for the layouts, the designs were created for the following widths, but we will not just be beckoning on this one. We will still add our own. And there are some colors. We have some primary colors. We have some neutral colors. For the typography, we have body, which is 18 pixels. The font family is this by Jamdri. I hope I'm not murdering that name. And for the icons, they give us options. So for social icons, you can use the SVGs provided or a font icon library. So we'll be using Font or some CDN. So basically this is just it, and we can go back to Figma and start structuring how the website is going to look. So what I'm going to do is I won't just start writing all the HTML and start styling it. I just want to explain how I normally work when I'm working on a simple landing page like this. If it's a one that has multiple pages, I also have an approach on how I tackle those as well. But in terms of a simple landing page like this, how I tend to work or how I will approach this is that I will go through each and every section, and I'll first of all see a pattern between the sections. So if we start from this hero section, you can see we have this logo right here. Then we'll have this heading one, then we'll have a p tag and 2 buttons. Then for this as well, we have this title section that has this main title and this subtitle, and the same thing as well. So you can see that this and this and this, they are quite similar, just that this one is an H1, this is an H2, this is an H2. Obviously this is going to be an H3. You can see the same pattern as well, and in terms of typography and space, they are quite the same. Then we have 3 columns right here that they are stacked on mobile. So basically everything is stacked on mobile. Then on desktop it's styled differently, so which means we'll be starting from the mobile first approach. At least that's how I used to work. Then if you notice this section right here, you will see that it's similar with this one. The difference is just this one. So by now I hope you have a high level overview on how you are going to structure this, because the main thing about building landing pages like this is how you structure your HTML so that you write less CSS, because the less CSS you write, the better it's going to be for your sanity. I promise you that. So for this section, we also have a background image right here, as you can see. So the first thing to do is to go back to our index file, and I will just go to the website and bring in the fonts that I'll be using. I think I already have it open. So let me go to view selected. So it's already open. So what I'll do is I'll remove it and just add it again. So look for the name for style guide, and I'll copy this name. You can just open the link through this. It's going to work as well. I don't know why I didn't do that. So paste this one here. This is the font. So you just click on it. Click on get font. Click on get embedded code. And you can use the link tag or the import for the CSS, but I will just stick with this link tag. So come back and go to my index.html and I'll paste it right here. While at that, I will get rid of this comment. I don't need it, as well as this, and this style, we don't need it as well. All right, cool. So the next thing we want to do is to go to font awesome CDN. Then click on the first link and we'll click on copy link tag. So close this out and we'll paste this right here. And again, there's no style.css, so we need to create ours. So say style.css, and what we want to do is I want to link it with our HTML. So we can come right here and say okay, so we'll allow Codium to complete that for us. Also, let me know if you like this AI auto generated stuff, because sometimes it's really annoying. So now we've successfully linked our style sheet with our HTML. All right, so the next we want to do is to open this on our website, and I'm going to be using an extension called Live Server. So I would suggest you use it. Live Server by Retweak Day. So basically launch a local development server so that you don't necessarily have to do a manual reload every time you make changes to your HTML file or CSS file. So just install that, and I also advise you to install Prettier as well. Prettier as well, so that your code will be formatted. So if I push this now and I hit save, it's going to format back to how it already looks. Maybe I'll do a video on all the extensions I use. I think that would be a cool video as well. But that being said, we just need to click on go live or right click. You should see go live somewhere. I don't know why I'm not seeing it right here, but yeah, so open with live server as well, and there's a shortcut for it. So click on this one and it's going to open on this port right here. Okay, cool. So the first thing is to create the first section, and the first section is the hero section. So we use the semantic tags and we'll call this hero. All right, so this section right here is where it's going to hold everything, including the background image. Then we need to put everything right here inside the container, and the reason we want to do that is basically because we don't want our content to stretch all over the viewport of the website. So to do that, we'll create a container class and we'll put everything inside. So the first thing we want to put is, I still don't know why this is auto-completing. I guess it's from Copilot. So we'll create another class to hold the image. I'll call this hero image, and I'll put the image right here. So say images slash logo .svg. And if you're using double underscore, I'm basically following the BEM method, which stands for block object, block element modifier, I mean. So it basically allows you to just structure your files in a nice way, so that when you want to style it, it will be easier. And you can also add modifiers. So the modifier is basically using two hyphens on one and adding something to it. So we'll create another div called hero underscore content, and this will be the h1 that says cut this right here. So this one here, and we also need to give this a class. I know this is the only h1, but let's just give it a class and call this one hero title. And also copy this as well, all your devices. Save. I will give this a class that says hero underscore text. Then for the buttons right here, remember, like I said, the buttons now are reusable right here. So what we'll do is that we won't give the buttons the same hero class, so that we don't style it for just the hero section. What I will do is I will create another a buttons div, but it's still under the hero, and it should still be inside the hero content. And we'll create two buttons, so we can see button times 2, and this is just using Emmet to just do this for us. And the first one says download for iOS, next one says download for Mac, and we'll give this a class, and we'll call this one button, and we'll just use the modifier, so we'll not use the element itself. We'll just use button to iOS, and we can call this one button Mac. Okay, let me see if we can push this into another line. Okay, cool. So now that we have that right here, our HTML is looking a bit ugly right now, but it's fine. I remember we'll be starting from the mobile view, so let's push this like this. So in order for the video not to be extremely long, what I'll do is that I will just structure a section, then write the CSS for the mobile, and add the media query to make it responsive on bigger screens. So that's what we'll be doing for each section. I think that would make it faster. You can let me know if you want a different pattern on the comment section as well. So now to style it, we just have to go to style.css, and what we'll do is basically get rid of some default styles, or get rid of the default styles that is given to us by default. As you can see, there's some margin and there's some padding, and these buttons have default style as well as these icons, and we do not need this though, but let's just leave it for now. And this image as well. So once if the image is a big one, it's not going to be extremely big, so I'll show you what I mean in a moment. So go back right here, and I will use this asterisk to target everything and set a margin to 0, padding to 0, and the box sizing to border box. So basically to allow us add margin and padding to an element, so that that element doesn't break. So you can see that now everything is now compact and there's no space around it. So what we just do self is that, so I'll just come right here and just say this should be for the global styles. And underneath this, we also want to add the colors we'll be needing. So put this inside a root element, and we'll just come to the style guide and copy all the colors. So this one, paste it here, this one as well, paste it here. So what we'll just do is to add a double hyphen right here. This should be lowercase. So repeat the same for everything. So I will just speed this up and get back to you. All right, we're done. So the next thing we want to do is to target the image tag and set a width of 100%. Then we'll set the display to block to get rid of uneven spacing. I will just set the height to auto as well. So you will now see that this image now is taking the max width of the size. So as the website, as the page is growing, it's taking the max width. But we're going to still add our own defined width to this image shortly. Then we also need to get rid of some list style. I know we don't have any list style right now, but we'll be adding it in the footer section. So let's just get rid of the bullet points right now. So if you don't understand what I mean, if I get rid of this, I can just come right here and say ULLI something, and it's not going to add it. It's still there. If it says FS, it's still there, because if I get rid of this now, you would see this bullet point. So this is what we want to get rid of. So if I say LI, I say this style should be none. I see that bullet point is gone. So we can undo this back. And also for the A tags, which is basically these links right here, we want to get rid of the line that comes with it. So say the text decoration on, and also set the display to inline block so that we can add padding to it as well. So you can see that now that line is gone. And now still on the global styles, we'll target the body and we'll set the font family to the by Jamjuri. I think that's the spelling. Then we'll default to sans serif if it's not available. And don't worry about this blue squiggly line. You won't have it on your own end. So it's not recognizing it as a word. I'll just add it to my workspace so that the font is showing right here. Okay, now we need to add some utilities. So I remember basically get rid of this one. We don't need this anymore. We want to add a style to this container because it's a utility class, because we'll be reusing it for each section. And remember I said that the essence of using container is to avoid our elements or our content from stretching on the website. So we want it to be contained at a particular width and at a particular media query. So for now, we just set the container and we'll give this a padding inline for the left and right, and we'll set it to 1 rem, and we can add a max width. So if you follow the style guide, you can see they give us this right here, so we can set it to this one, paste it right here. So if you check now, you see that there's a space coming in already. So we'll still add more utilities as the project goes on, but for now, let's just style the hero section. So we'll say hero section. So we'll say the hero should have a height of 100 VH. So you can see that this is scooching to the top. We want it to be centered. So from here to here is 100 VH. So we want it to be centered in the screen. And we can do that in two ways. You can do that using Flexbox or Grid. But I will just use Grid because it's more simple and straightforward. So I will just say display grid, and by default, if something is displayed to grid, nothing happens. But now we can now add another property that says place content center. Now it's now going to center our content vertically. While this, what we just have to do is to say text align center, and this is now going to center everything in the middle. So we also want to show the background image, so we can just say background image, and we'll say image, this should be in a string, images, and say header mobile, then we say background size should be cover, background position should be center, so then background repeat should be no repeat, so we don't want the image to repeat itself. So you can see right here. So on desktop screens or tablet screens, we'll change this background image to the desktop one. Or sometimes it doesn't really show because most of the time they're very, very similar. So you would spot the difference. But you just go to follow the designs that is being given to you. Alright, so for the hero image, we just need to select the hero and underscore image. Set the width to 100 pixel, and we'll set the margin bottom to 2.5 rem. Then now it's going to this left because of the width. We just need to now center it in the middle by saying margin inline. I just set it to auto. It's going to bring it back to the middle. Then for this content right here, this entire section right here, we'll select the hero and say underscore content, target the H1, and set the font size to 2 rem, the font weight to 700. Then we'll add the color of this dark grayish blue and save it. And also I think we're going to add the margin bottom of 1 rem to push it down from this p tag right here. So for the p tag, set the font size to 1 point, let's just do 1.1 rem, or let's leave it at 1 rem. Then on bigger device we'll increase it. I think the default is still 1 rem, so nothing should change. Yeah, so nothing should change, but we'll add a color of this grayish blue, and we'll add a max width of 600 pixels so that this doesn't stretch along, so it gets to 600 and you can see it has stopped at that 600. So we don't want it to be above that, and we'll also center it as well. So say margin inline and set it to auto. Then for these buttons, remember I said that these buttons are going to be reusable, so it's best if they are styled as utility classes. So what we'll do is to come back right here and go back to our utilities and target the button element itself and just get rid of the default styles. So set the background color to transparent, set the font family to inherit the main one, which is this one. The font weight set to 500, font size set to 1 rem, then border will set it to none, add a cursor pointer, then there's no white color right here, so we'll just give it a color of white, which is FFF. Then we'll also add a padding, so the top and bottom will say 0.85, then left and right will say 2 rem, and for the border radius we'll just set it to 5 rem, and transitions we set the background color, and duration should be 0.3 seconds is all right. Cool. So if we check now, the buttons are basically invisible because we set it to white, so you can't see it right now. So next thing to do is to target those class, so say buttons, then we'll add a display of flex to them. So if you don't know what flex does, because it's quite different from grid, with display flex there's already an action because this button div is holding two elements, which in flexbox this is the flex container and these are the flex elements. So adding a display of flex to the container, we push these elements or children to a row format. So basically if we check now, it's still there, but I think we have to add more styling for us to see it come right. So before we complete this, let's just style one of the buttons or both of them. So we'll say button iOS and say background color should be the strong cyan. Then there's a box shadow. So if you take note of the design, you will notice that, or you see that there's a box shadow right here. So it's good to pay attention to what you have been given. So we'll say 0 pixels, 6 pixels, 10 pixels right here. The blur should be 0. And there's not like 0 pixels, this should just be 0. And we set this to hue, saturation, lightness, and alpha. So the hue should be 171. Saturation we set it to 66%. Lightness we set it to 44%. Then alpha we set it to 0.4. So you can see this right now. Cool. So we just have to copy this one and set it for mark, and this should be the light blue, and for the box shadow we just set this one to 5 and leave this one at 10. Then we increase the hue to 233. It should be 100%. It should be 69, and we'll leave this at 4. All right, so you can see that by default it's now stacked like this. So what we need to do is to add a justify content of center so that both of them are being centered in the middle. Then we'll add a margin top of 2 rem to push it down. And for the mobile, I think we should be working with this one. So sorry about that if I've not been showing you this one. So everything is stacked on top of each other. So in order to do that, we just need to say flex wrap. And basically what this flex wrap does is that once there is no space for it to express itself freely, it just pushes the next into the next line. And for us to add a space between them, we just need to add a gap, set it to like 1 rem. I think that's enough. Yeah, okay, let's do 1.5. Okay, that's too much. So this is where you just start using your eyes to measure stuff like this. So we'll leave it like so. All right, cool. So we want to make it responsive on bigger devices like tablet and desktop. So say media query, and we'll say at media, and we'll say mean width. I'll set this to, let's start from 768 pixels. So I'm styling for mobile first. So if you are starting from desktop, this should be the opposite max width. So say mean width, and let's just test if this is working and set the body to be display of none. So now when we get to 768 pixels, everything should disappear. So let's watch. So you can see now at this point everything gets disappeared. So we just leave it right here and get rid of this and save, have all our content back. Then we can set the container class now and set a width to 768 and set the margin in line to auto. So basically what we're doing is that when we get to this 768 breakpoint, we want our container to not stretch above 768. That's what we're setting. Then we'll still target the hero section and set the hero background. So we just set the hero and target the background image and set it to the desktop one. So we say desktop. Like I said, most of the times you won't see the difference. And we just need to increase the font of both of them, and you can do that by targeting the hero content h1, set the font size to 3 rem. Then for the Peter, we set the font size to 1.1 rem. So you see that this is breaking right here because of the max width that we set, but as the screen gets bigger, it just stopped at this point. And let's see if there's a, okay, I guess it should stretch along. So what we'll do is that we'll just add another media query. So let me just add it right here. So we'll say 1200 pixels and up. So essentially the reason is because this is just stopping at the 768 pixels mark. So we'll set another container and just set the width to like 1100 pixels. And we also need to now set this to 1200. So you can see that that is gone and we're having something similar like so. And another thing before we wrap up the hero section is this hover effect that we didn't add. So in order for us to do that, we'll just go back to our code and I'll go to the top. I'll do it right here. So we say the button iOS and hover. We set the background color to the same HS LA. So let me use this default number. So the only thing we need to just change is the opacity. Then we just set this one to 8. make sure it's the same. Then we'll target the mark and say hover, and set the background color to was it this one? Yeah, so we'll set this to it as well. So now if we hover over it, you can see it's coming in nice. All right, cool. So that's for the hero section. So the next section we'll be creating is this feature section, or whatever you want to call it. I call it feature section. So we have 2 columns. So this one is on one column, then this one as well is on its own, then this stuffs right here, they are inside a div which is being stacked right here. So the first thing we'll do is to go back to our index file, create another section, call this one features section, say features, and this should be in a section, so we'll say features, and bring in the utility class container. And if you also take note, this title is the same as this in terms of styling, the same as this, and it's the same as this one. So we need to now create another utility class for that. So we just create a title, and this title will have an h2 we'll call let's call it title, let's call text, and we just cut this one here, paste it, okay. Then for the p tag, we'll give it a class of title, let's say title description, and we'll cut from here and paste it here. Okay, so the next part we want to do is this features, the main features itself. So, and the cool thing about this is that once you style for one, you basically done for everything. That's how it just works, because they're quite similar. So now what we want to do now is to create this content right here. So we can just do it under this div and say features underscore content, and we can just put this inside the features underscore image, and bring it down big image that says image, say image computer. And most times I'm lazy to add this, but it's best practice for you to add what is here. So we'll do this to this as well. So say logo. So the next thing to do now is to create a div to hold each of the features, or each feature itself. So we say feature, and this have its own feature content, which will have the history that says quick search, and the text will be this one, paste it right here. So let's see what we have. All right, cool. So we have this one. So we'll be using just this one for now. Once we start this, we just need to add this to, and it's automatically going to get added. So since we're going mobile first, so we need to go to our CSS and add those utility class. So we just do it under this one. So target the title, set the text align to center, target the title text, I'll set the color to the dark grayish blue, and we'll add the margin bottom of 1 rem. Also, we increase the font size to 1.5 rem. And for the description, so we say title underscore description. I will set the font size to 1 rem. The color should be the grayish blue. Also add the max width of 600 pixels and set the margin inline. Set that to auto. Well, you can see it right here. We don't need to add the margin bottom to this. We just need to do it to the features itself. So we can do that. Let me close all these ones. Can do that right here and say features section. Say features. We'll target the content. Then we'll set a margin top of 4 rem so that there will be space right here. Then also we'll target the feature image and set the margin bottom to, I just set it to 3 rem. And for the features itself, we'll say feature content and target the feature and set the text align to center and add a margin bottom of 2 rem on mobile. Okay, so for some reason it's not applying this to this. What am I missing? So let's go back. So feature image, guess. So let me try and add the display of, no, let me see if that's okay. So it's not targeting it. Maybe, okay, it's features image, not feature. So this is features image. Okay. Then the content. So it's features content, not feature as well. All right, cool. But if we check the design, we want this to be similar to this in a way, this heading and this text, even though this is an history and this is basically, this is even similar to this one. If you take a good look at it, just the spacing and the alignment. So what we'll do is that I will come right here and add a class, and let me just add the class of feature. Let me call this one feature title. So say feature text. So this is one of the benefits of just styling. Making sure that one of the feature is good before copying and changing the content. So now we'll go back to the utility class right here, and we'll also add the feature. I think I called the feature title, right? Let me cross check. Yeah. Title and save. So what we'll do is that I will get rid of this font size and I will add it to the title text itself so that it doesn't affect the feature title. Then for the description or for the feature text, I will add it here and say feature underscore text. All right, cool. So now what we have to just do is to copy each feature. So we'll copy this 2 more times. So we say 1 and 2, and first one says iCloud sync. Same thing here. think earlier devices, so copy this one, paste it right here. So complete history. Paste it right here. And copy everything here and paste it underneath because this other one's supposed to be at the top. So I don't know why I mistakenly did it here. So I'll copy this one and replace it with this one right here. Okay, so let's check now. So everything is showing as we want. So what we need to do is to style it for desktop or tablet screens and up. So we'll do this right here. So let me just do this and say the utility class, select the text. I'll set the font size to 2.3 rem. So I can just get rid of this now because we're starting for both desktop screens and up. So added a bigger font size to this. For the description, also increase the font size to 1.1 rem. Cool. For the features, say features section, and we'll grab the features content, which is where is it? So I guess we're having the little issue right here. So we have features content reoccurring. So this should be feature, not feature. So all this will be feature and this will be feature. So we'll save this first and make sure that our this should be features content feature. Okay, so I guess nothing should change. Yeah, everything still works well. So now we can now target the features content and set the display to grid. And like I said, let me open this to like that 768 threshold. Okay. So say display grid, but we want 2 columns. So to do that, there are 2 different ways. I just say grid template columns and just set the columns. So you can say 1FR, 1FR. So this will give it 2 even columns. But what I like to do is to say repeat 2, and each of them should have 1 fraction each. So it's still giving the same result. And if you look at the design, there's no stars for the tablet, just the desktop, but you can see that this is cutting inside the browser. So for us to achieve that, we just need to target the feature image. So say feature image and set the transform, set the translate property and set it to -5 rem for the x-axis. So it's going to push it to the left. And let's still get rid of the margin bottom that we added initially to it. So this one, we're getting rid of it. So if you check now, you can see that this is pushing to the side, which now means that we need to align all this content to the left. So say feature content, was it features content? Yep. Then we set the text align, set it to left, and nothing happened because we need to add the feature itself right here. All right, cool. So we need to still bump up this font size. So we can just say it should be feature underscore text. Let's say the font size to 1.1 rem. All right, but there's a little issue when we get the screen gets bigger and bigger. So this is not fixed. So you see that it's now going back. So we want to say, okay, once it hits another breakpoint, so in our case, once it hits this 1200 pixels, we also want the image. This time we want to target the image itself and set the width to like 145% so that the image stretches everywhere. But it's covering this text right now. Then we will need to set the transform translate x to double the initial number we used, so that it's going to push it back to where it is. And for this space right here, we then need to add a gap. So we say features content and add a gap of like 2 rem so that I have some space within it. And another issue, not technically an issue though, but we want this to be kind of centered. So what I will do is that I'll come back to the HTML. So you can see that I'm going back and forth, which means that you don't have to like do this once and just leave it. It's just something that when you structure it, as you begin to style it, you see that things might change and you need to restructure how your HTML looks. So this class right here, I'll just give this a class, and this is just the one thing. I want to just add a margin top, so I'll call this empty, and let me just add it on the tablet and say empty, add a margin top of like 2 rem. So you can see it's adding margin top, and I think it's quite similar to this. Okay, this is way down and the space is even much. So what I will do is that we can increase this to like 3 rem or even 4. So let's start with 3 first. Then, and I think we also need to just do it for the, let's just do it for the desktop, the bigger screens. For the gap, let's try 4 rem. Let's see how it goes. Okay. So it's not the burst, and you can see that the text are kind of breaking when it gets to a certain point, but I'm going to leave this like this because it's fine and it works nice. All right, so the next section we'll be creating is the access section. So what we need to do, I think this part will be very simple because we already have this part set up already. It's just to bring in the utility class and this image right here. And for the mobile view as well, it's still the same. So what we'll do is go back to our code, go back to the HTML, and let's just close this one. And that this will say access section, and this will have a class called access, and inside it will bring in a container, and we'll just bring in this title. So I'll just copy this one right here and I'll paste this here, and I'll just change the content. So cut this one, replace it right here, and this other one think he ended at clicks because this is the first full stop. So cut this one and paste it right here. Then the last thing we need to do is to add that image, and we do that outside this title div. So say let's just call this one access, let's call image, and bring in the image. I think it's called image device. Alright, so let's check it out, and let's make sure we're starting from mobile. Okay, so you can see that everything is already coming in. We just need to add some space around this part for the image, which means that this is subjective though. So you can see that now we don't really need this access class, we just really need this image, but I will still leave it because it's good for specificity, so that when you want to target something relating to the main parent class, you will need this class right here. But we'll just leave it as it is. Then come to the style.css and come right here and just say access section and grab the access, and let's just target the image. So say access underscore image and add the margin top of like 4 rem. All right, so there's one more thing. If you check the design, you notice that there's a couple of space right here, and we already have that space by default for this first one. Then if you still check again, the same amount of space here, as well as from here to here. So if you can draw this from here, we need even spaces here, and the same thing as this, which means that we'll need another utility class. So we can go back to our CSS, and I will just go back to the top, and let me just do it right here. So I'll call this class PT section. So basically stands for padding top section, and let us give it a padding top of 7 rem. So if we check right now, you can see that the space between these two has not been added. This space you are seeing is coming from the margin bottom from this right here. So to have that space, we can just come to this access, and I will use this pipe line and just add the utility class that we just defined. So you can see this adding that space right here. So this pipe now is not doing anything fancy. I'm just adding it to know that okay, this is for the main class, while this other side is for utility classes. I forgot where I saw this, but I just kind of liked it and I adapted it to my own way of building project. All right, so I get that is that about the access section. So if you open it, yeah, so we don't need to do anything much. The next section we'll be building is the workflow section. So this part right here. So you already know the drill. We just need to bring in this title and structure each of these workflow right here. So let's go back and start from the mobile. So close this one, and I'll call this one workflow section, and this will be a section with a class of workflow, and we'll still need to add the utility class as well. So say padding section. Then we just need to copy this again, paste this here, and before we paste it, we have to put this inside a container. and we just need to change the content. So this, cut this one out and paste it right here. Then we just cut this one as well and paste it right here. Then outside this title div, we'll create another div called workflow underscore content, and inside it we'll create another div. This one will be called workflow features. So basically we'll be adding the grid, display of grid, to this parents div, because each of the workflow or each of the feature, each of this feature, whatever you want to call it, I might call it feature, each of this feature will be under this parent div right here. So we'll just call it feature. So I'll say feature, and each feature will have its own content as well. And inside this content now we'll bring in the image. So what this image you're saying, so say first one should be, I think it's blacklist. Then I can just update this to blacklist. And did I think I forgot to add the alt? I always forget to add this. So call this image device. And for the heading 3, which is the title for this, call it create. Let me just cut it from here and paste it. Then for the text, I think the first one here, sources, will cut this one and we'll paste it right here. So this is for one feature. So I will just copy this down twice and replace the content. All right, so I've replaced the right content for each of the feature. So if we check now, we can see all the content right here. So we can go to our style.css and make sure close all this one out. Let's even close all this one as well, so we don't get confused. And we'll call this section workflow section, and we'll target the workflow features because that's where we really want to work with. And we'll add the margin top of 3 rem. So basically the stuff I said we're adding the grid to, which is, let me also close this one. So this one right here, so workflow features, we're adding margin top. So in case if it's not obvious, let me just set it to display none so that you see that the stuff is actually showing. So everything is gone. So if I get rid of it now, leave it, see it's adding what? The margin top of 3 rem. Then we'll target the particular feature and we'll center everything. So everything is centered. Then we'll target the image. So I think I gave it a class. Did I give it a class name? Okay, no, I didn't give it. So we'll set the width to 50 pixels, and of course we need to now center it in the middle. I also need to add a margin bottom of like 1.5 rem. So we want to add a margin bottom to each feature except the last one, so that we'll have consistent spacing on this utility class. Because right now what is happening is that for this one is adding a margin bottom of 3, a margin bottom of 3. Now this one is also adding another margin bottom of 3, making the total spacing right here to be 10 instead of 7. So let me just make the changes right here first before implementing it to this one. So guess is in the feature section, so we can go to the features. And for this margin bottom, okay, it was initially 2, I thought it was 3. So if we get rid of it, then you can see it's now showing the initial 7 rem. So we can say feature content, say feature, we'll target all the features except the last child, and add the margin bottom of 2 rem. Now it's going to add margin bottom to this, and it's not going to implement it to this. So if we check on bigger screens now, you can see nothing really changed. So we can go back and implement the same thing right here. So we can come right here and say workflow features, and we say feature not last child, say margin bottom of 2 rem as well. So we do the same thing here. And I guess let me just bring this here. Then for the history, we can just target it directly and set the color to the gray, dark grayish blue. Then the p tag will be max width of 400 pixels, and we'll set the margin inline to auto. Alright, cool. So let's check how it looks on the design on mobile. Okay, so there's some space between this and this. So what we'll do is to add a bit of margin right here of like 1 rem. Okay. And for this p tag, we also need to set the color to be this color right here. So I just thought of something because we've already used it right here. So what we'll do is that I will leave this dark grayish blue, and I'll get rid of this one and this color, and I'll go back to our index. So right now everything is still like so. So I'll go back to this, and for each of the feature I will add that class right here. So I'll add the feature title and the feature text right here. So let's see, you can see now it's now collecting the utility class we created right here, the feature title and the feature text. So we can just do the same for everything. So we say this one should be the feature title and the feature text. This one should be feature title and feature text. Cool. So now it's very similar to what we have right here. So I guess that's that for the mobile. We then need to go to the media query. So for the media query, we can come underneath and just say workflow section, and we'll target the features, and this time we just say display and set it to grid. I will set the grid template columns to repeat 3 times on FR. I will add a gap of 1.5 rem. So if we check now and we go to bigger, so you can see the space right here, but you can see that they are not really even. So what we need to do is to grab that last child we initially start, which is this one. So grab it and set it back to 0. So if we check now, you can see, okay, everything is now aligning as it should be. So if I check on desktop view, everything should be okay. So now we can come back to the mobile view and move to the next section, which is this support or sponsor section, whatever you want to call it. And it's relatively easy as well. So I will urge you to just pause the video and try this out yourself. So the way we're going to build this is to go back to the index file, and let me first of all close this one, and I'll call this sponsors section. So this will have a section with a class called sponsors. Also add the utility class as well. Then we'll bring in the container, and basically we'll be bringing in just these images. So I'll just call this sponsor image. Then I will just bring in all the images. So the first one is Google. So it should be Google. Then I'll copy this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the next one is IBM. So this will be IBM. Next one is Microsoft. Just leave at the logo Microsoft. Then the next one is HP. Say HP. Then I think this is the last one. Let me check. Yeah, so it's the vector. So say vector graphics. Say vector graphics. All right, cool. So if we check now, you see that the images are huge, which is fine because we'll be styling them in a bit. So go back to CSS and make sure we are not inside the media query. And we'll call this the sponsors section. Say sponsors image. And we'll basically target each of the image inside it. So sponsors image, and we're targeting of the image inside it. I'll set the width to be 120 pixels. I will also need to center it in the middle as well. So you can see that all the text now are better than before. So you can also do the same thing we did here. So copy this one and we'll paste it right here, and this will be sponsors image, and this one will be the image tag. I will increase the margin bottom to like 5. So it's going to add a margin of 5 to each of the images except the last one. So that is that for the mobile style. For the desktop style, we just need to put everything. So what I will do is that I will just set these to be 2 columns on tablet. Then on desktop, I will just set the columns to be 5. So come right here to the sponsors section. Say sponsors, and we'll set the sponsors image to have a display of grid. Set grid template columns to be 2 1FR and add a gap of 2 ren. So if we check now, You can see that we're having this. So you can still play with the margin bottom. So what I will just do is that I will just get rid of it in general. So this will be the sponsors image, and this will be image, and just get rid of it so we don't see that space. So the space you're seeing is just the gap. Then on bigger screens, which means on desktop, we'll just target the sponsors image and set the grid template columns to repeat 5 times 1 fr each. So if I get rid of this, see that everything now is repeating as it should be. So that was not that difficult. So we are almost done. We just need to create this download section, and like I said, it's very similar to this hero section. So what we'll do is to go back to the index.html and say call this one the download section, and this will be section with the class of download, and as usual we'll bring in the utility class. And before I continue, you can see that there's already a pattern. So when you are building anything, just try to establish a pattern. No matter how the design looks, there must surely be a pattern in terms of the structure, in terms of the styling. So always keep that in mind. So this right here, we'll bring in the container, and we'll come to this workflow and we'll copy this title right here, paste it here, and replace all this content. So this is clipboard for iOS and macOS. So copy this one and replace it here, and we'll copy this one as well and replace it here. So this part we don't really need it again, because what we'll be doing is that we'll go back to the hero section and copy this button and just save this one, and we'll just paste it underneath this title. So if we save right now, you see that everything is coming into place, and we didn't really, so we don't even need this download again because we didn't write any CSS for it. So everything is working fine, both on mobile, as you can see, on mobile and on desktop as well. All right, cool. So the final section will be the footer section. So the footer section is a bit tricky. So this is where critical thinking comes in, and this approach will be different for the level of experience you have. So I'll break this down into a couple of ways you might think about it. So you can see that on mobile it is stacked on top of each other. So this is on its own, then this one look as if everything right here it's inside a div, as well as these ones right here. Then on desktop this is on its own. So we already established the fact that no matter where this logo is, it's always going to be on its own div. Then when it gets to this part, this one looks as if it's on a div, this as well looks as if it's on another div, and this one looks as if it's on another div, as well as this one. So if we follow this approach, it means on desktop we'll have just a stacked layout. Then on on mobile rather, we'll have a stacked layout. Then on desktop, we'll have about 5 columns. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the way I'm seeing it right now is you can see it in two ways. So you can just see this as one column. This should be inside another column. Then this will be inside another column. So we have 3 columns. Or rather still, we can now have this one to be in one column. Then this one should be on its own column. Now we have 2 columns, and we might not even use the grid to achieve this. We might just use the flex plus. So let's see how it's going to go. But this is what we're going to flow with. So you can try whatever method you use. The only difference that is going to determine the amount of CSS you write. Like I said earlier on, the lesser the CSS, the better it is for your sanity. So what we'll do is that we'll come right here, and we don't need this footer. You can leave this if you want to. I don't need it. Then I'll come right here and say this should be the footer section, and this will be the footer tag with a class of footer, and also have the container as well. I'll bring in another div. We'll call this one the footer content, which is the main one holding everything. Then the logo and the links. So I think this is where I'm pretty bad at naming stuff. So this is the logo. I want to put these links inside a single div, as you can see. So I'll call it logo links. You can call it whatever name you choose to. Then inside this logo links, we'll have the logo. So this is the image and logo SVG. So I'll say logo. I'll also have the links. So put this inside links class, and we'll bring in an ordered list and an li. I'll bring in this a tag right here, and this will not go anywhere. And this first one is the FAQs. So paste it right here. Copy this one. Let's just copy like 3 more times. I remember, so the FAQs and these contact us looks as if it's on its own div. So what we do is that I will just cut these 2 out, and we'll bring in this contact us, and I'll paste it here. So this one now can be treated as a div, this UL. So we need to bring in another UL again, and this UL is still going to have its own. So let me just do this one. Just copy. I will hold shift alternate and down to duplicate this another time. This one will be, let's check privacy and press kit. So copy this to, I'll paste this one here, and also cut this one and paste it here as well. Then the last one, it's on its own, so there's no need to use a div for that. So we can just even put this inside a link tag. I just paste it right here. So let me cut it the right way and paste it right here and save. Then we'll make sure we are outside this logo and links and bring in the social icon. So what I'll do is I'll create another div class of social, and I will bring in an a tag, and inside this a tag we'll bring in the I tag, because like I said, we're using the font awesome icon. So for the first one that says Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So for Facebook, it's FA brands, then FA Facebook. So we'll copy this 2 more times. Second one is FA brands and FA Twitter. Then the last one is Instagram. So let's check if everything is coming in and make sure we're starting from the mobile first approach. Okay, so everything is coming in. So now it's time to style. So go to style.css and make sure we are not inside the media query. So say footer section. I'll grab the footer class. I'll give this a background. So for some reason, this background is not in the style guide. So we just a cool trick about this is to draw a box. So I'll just draw a box right here, and I'll hit I and just copy it right here and just grab the color. So say the background color should be the one we just copied. Then we'll add a margin top of 7 rem. And mind you, in case if you are wondering why we didn't add this padding section, basically it's for padding. So if we add the padding right here, it's going to add it inside this background. It's not going to add it to this top. So basically we're setting from here to here to the same amount of pixel as here to here. I hope that makes sense. So we can go back and add a padding block. So padding block is for top and bottom, and set it to 2 rem. Then we set the text align to center. So let's see what we have. All right, cool. So for the image, we only have one image, so we can just say footer image, set the width to like 50 pixels, and margin inline and spell should be auto, and also add the margin bottom of 2 rem. Then for the links right here, we'll just say footer and say links. I'll grab all the links and set the color to the dark grayish blue. Set the font weight to 500, and the margin bottom we set it to 1.5 rem. I will add a transition of color. I'd set it to 3.3 seconds ease. So the reason why I added transition is because for the active state, you can see the color is the primary color when it's being hovered on. Then we just set the hover, so hover links a tag, and we set the color to the strong cyan. So let's see what we have. And this should be hover, not a tag. So let's check. All right, cool. But I'm noticing something that basically the colors are quite the same for these. So I think what we need to do is, instead of us to target just the links that are inside this links div, we can target all the links. Then for the footer links, we can add the font weight of 500 and the margin bottom of 1 rem. So I think this one now can cut this, paste it here. So now everything should have that color, and I can now hover on everything. All right, cool. So for the social icons, so say footer social, we just set the font size to 1.2 rem and add a margin inline. I'll set it to like 0.5, and I guess that's about it. So we need to add the anchor tag as well, so I didn't add that. So I think that's cool. Okay, there's a little bit of spacing right here, so we can just do it with this one. So we can say footer social and add a margin top of like 1 rem. So let's see. Okay, that worked. Or you can just increase it to like 23. All right, so that's about it for the mobile design. So for the desktop design, we'll need to expand this. So let's just start from here. So open the media query and we'll say for the footer section, we'll first of all set the text align to left because it's initially set to center by default, which means we also need to set this image to the initial margin. So grab the footer image and set the margin inline to the initial one, and also get rid of the margin bottom as well. So we're basically resetting it. And now we still need to reset this social link. So I guess I called it footer social. Set the margin top to 0. Let's check. Okay. So what we'll do is to target the footer content and add a display of flex. So what this footer content is basically, let me use the pen to remember that this is inside one single div and this as well, but both of them are inside a div that we called footer content. So that's what I'm setting to display flex, which will now push this to side by side. So what we need to do is to say the justify content should be spaced between, which will push this one to the end as we want. So what we need to now do is to target the footer content, and now we'll target the logo links. So basically we're working with this now, and we'll also add a display of flex, and to get rid of this weird stuff looking like this, we just set the align items to start so that it doesn't stretch all the way. So let me undo this. And for the gap, it's quite huge, so let's just set the gap to like 7 rem. Okay, I think it's very similar to what we have. Okay, so the final thing we need to do is to now add the same display of flex to these links. So we just grab the footer content and grab the links and set this to display flex. So let's just see how it looks first. So we just need to add the gap. So set the gap to like 5 rem. I think that will work. All right, cool. So if we close this out, you can see now that we have accomplished similar stuff right here. So everything is fine and it looks as much as the design looks to the best of our ability. So we can cross check to see if it's responsive, and of course everything is responsive. All right guys, so that's the end of the video. If you found the video helpful, please do what to leave a like, share the video to someone learning HTML and CSS, and subscribe as well. Till next time.